Welcome to A Friendly Atheist. Okay, we're going to talk about a theory, okay, and the difference between a scientific theory and a theory that the average everyday person has. For example, you might have the theory that uh, because it's raining out, uh, you think traffic will be really, really bad. Right? That's the everyday theory. That's not really proof or evidence. Okay, that's what most people think a scientific theory is as well. Okay, you might have a theory that there's a Bigfoot because you're camping and you heard something in the woods at night. Your theory is that's a Bigfoot, you know, or some other big old creature. That's not a scientific theory. In science, that would not be called a theory. Okay, the difference between a theory and a scientific theory. A science that's just a regular everyday person's theory that we just talked about. A scientific theory is backed by empirical evidence, lots of other scientists in that field or similar fields trying to disprove your theory, trying to find evidence in in either conclusion or there must be another reason. It's backed by lots of evidence, data. For example, a good one is the theory of evolution. And you hear religious people say all the time, and no offense, and I understand why you say it, it's just a misunderstanding of a theory, a scientific theory. But you hear religious people say it all the time, well, it's just a theory. It's just a theory. It's not just a theory. It's a scientific theory. For example, human evolution. Oh, it's just a theory. It's a theory. It's not someone going, we're very similar to apes, so we must have evolved from apes. So many things wrong with that statement, and many of you, I, I know you know, and I know too. I know you know. But a scientific theory, okay, is not like evolution. It is not a wild guess. Evolution is backed by empirical evidence, lots of data, lots of proof. Paleontologists, geologists, all kinds of ologists can look at all that evidence and decide what is good data and proof. Um, like with human evolution, there's lots of um, bones, lots of skeletal remains, like Lucy, for example. Lots of links that can be by biologists, genetic, especially nowadays, we have genetic traits. There's so much. And yet, science is still so humble to call it a theory. But in scientific terms, it's pretty much a given. Okay? Uh, it can't be disproven. Scientists tried and tried and tried and still try today. A scientific theory is that solid. Um, and evolution is one of those scientific, and probably one of the most, well, I think it is actually the most proven scientific theory that there is, even above gravity. Okay? We've all accepted gravity. We're going to have to accept human evolution. But that's what evolution is. It's a scientific theory, which is backed by empirical evidence and lots of scientists trying to disprove it, and years of studies and research and development. There's genetics, there's paleontology, there's geology, biology, tons of scientific proof and evidence. Okay, well, why can't I have, a Christian might say, why can't my theory be viable too? The belief in a God. Because there's no empirical evidence. Because there's no proof. The Bible is a book written by ignorant people during ignorant times, and no offense meant. I don't mean to offend you. And when I say ignorant, I don't mean stupid people. I mean people who didn't know any better. This was the best explanation they could come up with in those days. I mean, you don't really believe, like for example, the theory of Noah's flood is not a scientific theory. No, the earth was never flooded all at one time. 40 nights of rain did not flood the earth all at the same time. Well, what about seashells on the hillside? That's because at one time this area, that hillside, was underwater. Doesn't mean that all the rest of the earth was underwater at the same exact time. The earth is plate tectonics, and it's constantly changing over billions of years. And continental drift changes the whole landscape. You had Pangaea millions of years ago. That's why you'll find seashells on the side of a mountain. Noah's Ark is just preposterous. Lots of it is preposterous. The virgin birth, we've never seen that replicated. That's another thing about science, about scientific theory. It can be replicated in testing, in observance. It can't be... you can replicate or see the replication of human evolution. We see chimpanzees, for example, their DNA is almost virtually the same as ours. Very little difference there. You can replicate a lot of stuff when it comes to scientific theory. With Noah's Ark, you cannot replicate. They tried. There was, I think it was National Geographic maybe, tried to actually, they hired a shipbuilding company, professional shipbuilders, to build a Noah's Ark exactly as it says in the Bible, the cubic feet, etc., everything. And all it did was bow and bend and sink. And they tried it twice, I think. That a ship like that and all the animals from around the world, that's not a theory. That's just an explanation of a wild hunch, a wild explanation of something, a story, a fable. Evolution, we didn't evolve from apes. Apes evolved just like we did. We're apes. Humans are apes. We're actually closer to the chimpanzee genetically. This is where replication comes in, than what gorillas are to chimpanzees. We can actually take their blood in blood transfusion, chimpanzees. Yes, we just don't do it because a lot of people have a serious problem with that. But anyway, that's what a scientific theory is. It's not the same thing as a regular old everyday theory. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave me some comments. Sorry if I offended anyone. I don't mean to. I go out of my way to not offend people. But thank you very much for watching. And I'll have many more videos coming out real soon. I want to try to do at least 3 or 4 a week, maybe even more. And a lot of them will be a lot shorter. Like, share, and subscribe, and be nice. Be nice to people, and be a free thinker. Whatever you choose to believe, it's cool.